that has been left behind. Then I therefore move on saying, I'm giving you the platform as members of the community. You will remember this is a public hearing. I'm giving you now a platform, whether you have clarities, whether you have questions, or whether you have a contribution. And I've said already that we do have officials on my right and my left that they will take all your contributions, and thereafter your contribution will be refined or consolidated, and I will be responsible to present them at the National Assembly. The views of the Eastern Cape community around the bills. That was what I was saying in a nutshell. Then basically to make that opportunity of contribution. I further say, don't fear, there is no contribution here that can be regarded as a weak input here. Whatever you want to say, they will collect everything, then will refine everything. Important here is for your active participation and ensuring that these are the contributions coming from Eastern Cape. You will hear now. You understand, you hear me. It's okay. We are going to count now. And you keep your number. In number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not want to look at 10. What will be happening? You will ask questions in any of the 2 bills. Then we have here a team of 3 legal advisors. 2 to assist Mr. Mafoya. 1.
Molweni. Igama lam ndinguBusi wemgangxela ongumama uPeter waseXesi. Ndingumfama wolimo lwendalo. Ndiyi-seed guardian, ndingumgcini wembewu yendalo. Ndibona uba lo mthetho ubekwe apha uyandibetha kakhulu mna ndingumntu wapha ezilalini ogcina imbewu. Ngoba kwale nto utata agqibothetha ngayo yokugqibela athi yonke lo mthetho umiselwe umntu ozawuthengisa, that is selling. And if we go to i-definitions ezilapha kulo mthetho ngo-selling, azithethi le nto ayithethayo utata, zithetha mna mntu xa isithi sell iyandi-afektha mna noba ndiyagcina ndiyashera nabanye imbewu le siyigcinayo yendalo. Ithi ke ngoku le nto uba ngaba kwenzeka ukuthi lo mthetho ube uzawupasa, mna mntu ugcina imbewu yendalo le yayikade ikhona kudala yotata kusithiwa i-OPV esikwaziyo ukugcina isiswenye ngayo, siyigcine ukuze sikwazi ukuthi singamane sisiyowuthenga okokoko, ngoba laa mbewu isiswenye yenzela uba xa ndiphinda kwisizini elandelayo ndifuna ulima ndikwazi uthatha eyona mbewu yayikhe yarayithi apha embewini yam, ndikwazi nokunika nezihlobo zam, ndikwazi nokunika namanye amafama endihamba nawo. Lo mthetho ke ngoku uyandibetha ngoba uthi maxa irejistariswa, uba ngabe irejistariswe ngumntu ozabe nemali endingenayo mna ayorejistariswa kuqala, ngoba kutshiwo ukuthi kuzawurejistariswa apha, ayorejistariswa iyandibetha ke ngoku mna indibopha izandla nenyawo ukuthi mandingaphinde ndibe nayo irayithi yala mbewu. Okwesibini, ndifuna uqonda phaa kulaa nto ayithethayo kwi-plant improvement wenze umzekelo ngekhaphetshu nespinatshi. Mna ndifuna uqonda uba ngaba ndifuna uimprove ikhaphetshu lodwa, ngoba kaloku kukhona uzawufumanisa uba mhlawumbi ebusika ikhona ikhaphetshu engazukwazi ukukhula. Then ke ngoku ndikwazi ukuyi-improva mna uba mayijongane nendlela ezi silima ngazo apha exesi, umzekelo. Imelane nayo nembalela yonke loo nto. Imephi ke kuleyo into? Ngumthetho oza only xa uzawudibanisa esinye isityalo nesinye isityalo, okanye kwa the very sityalo ofuna usi-improva ngenxa yoba wena usithi ufuna uku-improve i-genetic makeup yaso kuba for ebusika sikwazi ukhula, okanye sikwazi ukuthi xa ndisebenzise umgquba ndikwazi uba ndibe ndiyawusebenzisa. Kodwa ke ndithetha mna ndingumntu wolimo lwendalo ongazifuniyo izityalo ezi zenziwe zacorruptwa ngee-genes zenziwa ngoongxowankulu. So ndithi lo mthetho ingathi upasisela oongxowankulu kakhulu, uyasicinezela thina bantu basezilalini nabantu abangathathi ntweni abangamafama asakhasayo. Enkosi.
No, it's just that she wasn't being interpreted until only at the end, but I heard the end bit, so it's fine. This is on. Yes, number 2. I didn't hear the first part of what she was saying, so I might repeat some of the things, which is fine. I heard the last bit. But I just wanted to I'm a small farmer as well, and I just wanted to ask some questions and get some feedback on certain things. In the first bill, the Honourable Speaker said that that if you are crossbreeding, sorry?
Then it must be on channel 3, so that you can get the translation from Xhosa into English after. Channel 3. Yeah.
It's all right. That's fine. Okay. Is it right? Oh, wonderful.
Okay, thank you. In the first act, he mentioned that if it has been crossbred, then it has to be registered. Anything that is crossbred, he mentioned, if you're crossbreeding any plant, it has to be, by law, be registered. But the problem comes in where plants have been crossbred for thousands of years. For example, our maize has been crossbred with a grass to create the fat maize that it is. So a lot of the plants that we're using now, that we are our current staple crops, have been crossbred already. So I just want clarity, because he mentioned that you have to register if the plant has been crossbred, but most of the plants we're using now have been crossbred, and to create better versions of them. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing was that how much does it cost to register, and who can afford to register? Because currently, at the moment, the places that register plants, because it costs so much and it's such an expensive thing to do, only the big corporations and the big companies can actually afford to register plants. So then it comes in where who owns the plants? Who is owning those plants? Is it the small farmers who are going to benefit? Or is it the big corporations who are registering all the plants, yet the small farmer, because they can't afford to register, nor would they want to, and I'll say why now, is that these big corporations are owning all the rights to these plants, where they own it for 20 to 30 years, and the small farmers are not allowed to use these plants anymore, They're not allowed to catch the seeds or exchange them or give them away because it's against the law. It's a criminal offense on the Act. That's what it says. So then, how does that help the small farmer? Because they're not owning any of the plants and they haven't registered any of the plants. And as a small farmer, and I know I speak for many other small farmers too, they wouldn't want to register plants, many of them, because they understand that for a food sovereign South Africa or food sovereign nation, owning plants and having the rights to them doesn't help your neighbor. It doesn't help fellow farmers. It doesn't help the sovereignty in our country, because then everybody has to pay money every time they want to catch the seeds and exchange them and give them away. So that is a huge issue for small farmers and sovereignty in our country. And it takes away the rights of small farmers and gives it to big corporations, which is a huge issue, I think. And many other people think as well. And a lot of them don't want to, because they know that you need to benefit each other by having seeds free, not being registered or owned by a person. And on there, it says that it's a criminal offense if you sell the seeds that are registered. And the definition for the word sell, and they're right there, is exchange and barter and give away. So in other words, if I buy a plant and it's been registered, and I catch my seeds and want to give it to my neighbor, that means it's a criminal offense and I can go to jail for 10 years. And that does not create a nation where we are sovereign. And that's a big issue. And then the other one was that on there it says that the plant breeders, it says that the word new, it says any new plant can be registered. And then it says the definition of the word new means it hasn't been registered within the last year. That means that any plant that hasn't been registered before can be registered. That means that if I go and I take her seeds that she's had from her granny and her great-granny, and I can afford to do it, and I have the money, because it's so much money. How much? 60,000, 500,000, a million? How much does it cost? And if I'm a corporation, I have the money, and I go take her seeds from a seed bank that she got from a great-grandmother, and then I go and I register those seeds, then I own the rights to those seeds. And she can't have her seed bank anymore because she's breaking the law, and she has to go to jail. And so the word new in there is a huge problem, and the word sell, I think. And then the last thing was that, he said that this bill doesn't affect people who are just growing. Like, we're just growing, and I supply, and I grow. I'm growing my cabbage, I'm growing my beans, he said, and it doesn't affect me, it only affects the businesses. But it actually does affect me, because if one of those places go and they register cabbage, the cabbages we grow have been crossbred. They weren't like that originally. And therefore, it's a new plant and they can register it. Then it will affect all of the small farmers, because all of them now are going to have to pay rights and royalties, and they can't continue to grow their things. And that is only serving big corporations. It's not serving our people. It's not serving our country and our farmers.
Thank you very much. I'm also representing the small-scale farmers, and I'm very. I'd like to comment on the Honourable Mr. Mafuya for his presentation. He said that the purpose of these bills is to protect.
Hello, sir. Mr. Mafuya is Mr. Mafuya is not an honourable. Yes, the legal advisor to the committee is not honorable.
Thank you very much. Thank you very Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me just say Mr. Mafuya then. Thank you very much. I was saying he gave a very pleasant presentation about the two bills, in that the bills are set to protect the citizens from poisonous plants, by unscrupulous or by some farmers who could be in a position to crossbreed. My worry is, or my question is, if you are so much interested in protecting the citizens from these poisonous plants, why then are you letting our government venturing in GMO planting and also feeding our plants and our soils with glyphosate, which is also detrimental to people's health.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Mandizibusele nam mhlala ngaphambili. Igama lam ndingumonwabisi Dende ifana ndingumcirha ndiphuma eDebe. Ndirepresenta amafama akhasayo. Okokuqala, I'm sure i-concern yam I'm sure mine is a clarity seeking questions. Ndijaje inamba yezirefs zalapha phakathi ekubeni kuzohlalutywa umcimbi otshisa ibunzi ngohlobo. Lathi ilizwi elithethayo i-Eastern Cape. I was wondering, i-Eastern Cape mhlawumbi andiyazi. Ndifuna utshentshele okokuqala into mhlawumbi indlela efacilitateyo ngayo le meeting okanye indlela information edisseminatwe ngayo, because noloyiko loba sophuma apha sithi